Thanks for joining us again for another Resilient Restaurants Mental Wellness webinar. Right now we're going to be interviewing Timmy Lasley, who works at Sexy Pizza. And again, we are joined by Heather Nelson at Kesed Wellness. And we really look forward to our conversation with you, Timmy. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, of course.
And so just to start, so everybody watching can have a sense of who you are, could you just share, I already gave away you work for Sexy Pizza. Could you just tell us what your role is there and what is something that was a reaction or a proactive response on your part such that you wanted to participate in this?
Oh, gosh. Well, Kayvon asked me to. My boss asked me to, so that's first and foremost.
Excellent. One of the many hats you wear, again.
Right. I'm the administrative manager. So I do everything from invoicing and getting everything ready for our accountants to, I guess, light HR would be a way to put it. Just keeping track of benefits and who's eligible and who's not, and where they're sitting at as far as full-time status, so that benefits can then roll out to them. The employee newsletter, all of those little bits and pieces of call it back of house.
Yeah.
You're the glue that holds it all together.
Sure, yeah. I haven't been with the company for very long, and honestly, I don't know how Kyle was doing it all by himself. So we have many owners, but we have one owner with like super hands-on day-to-day operations. So anything he needs, that's my job.
Right, gotcha. Can you share with us how many employees you represent?
We have about 80 employees
People don't
here.
Have 4 locations.
Yeah, we just opened up the 4th location, so we are definitely hiring and looking to bring on more people. But right now we're sitting at about 75, 80 employees.
Yeah. So obviously you have a pretty amazing diversity with the employee base, and we really appreciate kind of your perspective, not only as an employee directly, obviously in the industry, but also someone who is, a liaison more directly seeing input from dozens and dozens, hundreds of, pretty soon you might, be over 100 employees. So really appreciate that perspective. One of the kind of first things we like to talk about is just from a top level, what do you think the industry and your workplace or our community, how are we navigating the kind of state of our industry right now?
I gotta say that I think that Sexy Pizza was set up better than a lot of places, because prior to lockdown and the pandemic and all the changes that came from a lot of that, they were already focused on how to make sure employees were taken care of in more ways than just a paycheck. Yeah. So I think for us, like, it's definitely like all of that work that had been in place already, it has been paying off in this time period, because we're already set up with a lot of lines of communication open to employees to like talk to their managers, not just about what's going on at work, but like what's going on in their life. And like, we take an interest in our employees, and like from the top down. And I don't know that a lot of other places in the industry do that. And I will admit here that I have never worked in the industry before. This is my first foray into the restaurant and service industry. The closest thing I had to that before this would be massage, which is semi-service industry. Very different though, very different.
Sure.
Well, but just knowing a lot of people that work in the restaurant industry, I feel like we've been weaving a net of a social safety net just within our own company as best we can. for a number of years now. So it's definitely been paying dividends, you know, with well-being and emotional security now.
Yeah.
You know, I want to kind of speak to that from the mental health side, because one of the things that I talk about with restaurants is thinking about more than just the paycheck are the restaurants of the future, because our nation has woven in benefits into employment in general, but there's just some industries where it's very common that it doesn't exist. And things like 2020 are really highlighting how much harm that can cause to people's livelihoods and reality, and stress to the industry. And so not only is this idea of like mental health important, for example, as one of several different ways of looking at benefits, but it actually is what will support the industry itself to be able to sustain through whatever the future brings us.
Absolutely. I mean, service industry, if you don't have people who can provide the service, what do you even have?
Right.
So we definitely like have better retention than I think a lot of pizza restaurants and like mostly, you know, like especially like delivery based restaurants. I think we have a much higher, I don't have the numbers on that, but my feeling is that we have higher retention. That might be more of a Kayvon or a Kyle question, but we definitely keep like a lot of the people that we've had for more than a year, we've had for multiple years. And so that speaks to how comfortable they feel here.
Yeah, that's great that it's so apparent. You can see that even, you know, being fresh on the job. And if you haven't lost 50 to 75% of your workforce in the last 4 months, you're ahead of the average.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we're still trying to hire right now. We still have room. Come on board.
That's great for the people listening to know.
Excuse me. So what are you personally doing to kind of navigate your own anxiety and circumstances right now?
I think for me personally, it's been about how to handle the resources that I do have on hand a little better. You know, like in the last 5 months, I've started using their 401k program here at Sexy Pizza, just like stocking stuff away and thinking differently about my future. Just what am I doing with the resources I have right now, and how is that going to play into what resources I have a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's been a big anxiety reducer. Maybe not like helpful in the here and now, but it makes me feel like I'm being proactive, and that's really nice. Outside of that, you know, sitting in the park. It's nice. I live right by Cheeseman Park, and it's kind of been heartwarming and good and uplifting to see how many people use the park now. Whereas like before, you know, I would go there, but I maybe there'd be so many people like in the months following the pandemic than there were before. And I think that's good. I think that's nice. You realize that like, oh, 10 feet is plenty of room. We could fit so many more people here. Don't social distance, but you know, but like we could. And it's interesting. Just, yeah, I would say in general, just like reevaluating resources and what they are, and maybe ones I wasn't utilizing before that I'm like, yeah, I should have been doing that this whole time. But it's never too late to start.
Yeah. Well, we certainly get, you know, some groundedness and adds to our ability to be more adaptive if we have information and we're kind of looking at how to manage things properly. There's so much scrambling going on right now and constant readapting. It's hard to keep track of the details and maintain kind of a consistent course if your business is pretty volatile, you know, fortunately in your case, and I imagine Sexy Pizza is also in this category, but pizza is one of the higher performing sectors right now.
Well,
So
we were already set up for a mostly, 75% of our business is already delivery.
and yeah,
We definitely have seen a drop in alcohol sales, but other
sure.
than that, we really haven't, because people just aren't like hanging out in the dining area and like
Right.
having a couple beers like they might have before. But
but you're getting the food out the door.
Yep,
So,
and
yep.
just as well and as streamlined as ever. So like we're very, very fortunate in a lot of ways that we were set up on like a business model side and for success, and we were set up for success on a like a social, employee benefit side.
Right. Right.
So we haven't had to adapt or pivot too much, which definitely like at first there was almost like this disconnect because like the whole world has changed, but like work was pretty much the same.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, this is too normal. This is almost too normal.
Yeah. So I'm interested, what's the chatter like on the floor or in your office if employees are coming to talk to you? Are you, other than there's COVID specific things and just people's anxiety and health concerns and whatever's going on for them at home. And then there's just the standard restaurant drama that's all by itself. What are the conversations that are happening in your restaurants? Are they different? I mean, you guys
now,
have a sense
we
of.
don't have boots on the floor like in the restaurant. Like I don't get to hear all the real chit chat, but we have had people reach out to the main office folks, which is mostly just me, but Kyle and the managers as well,
Sure.
to talk about like leaves of absence and things like that, and just being able to like work with where people are at with their own health or with their family's health and their own decision making of whether or not they want to be on the schedule this month or next week or whatever.
Right.
And it seems like there have been a wide range of opinions on things. There are some people, that were pushing for hazard pay, and some people that were like, no, I'm fine. This is all fine for me. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. There were some people that took, leaves of absence. Some people that and are now starting to come back a little bit. So we've seen a wide range of things, but I definitely feel like like the company itself has made itself really open to not just what can we help you with COVID right now, but like what else, how else, what's your family situation, how's your childcare situation, we can't open up a daycare just yet, but who knows, maybe someday.
Wow. Yeah.
We've got one of our very first employees, she emailed to ask us about family leave because that wasn't really talked about in our handbook. So we're putting together a policy to have in place for maternal, maybe paternal. I don't know what the owners are talking about, but some family leave. So it's a really good time, I feel like, because everything is up in the air, to reevaluate what else we can be offering. And like, oh, Sexy Pizza employees are having babies, good, like how can we help? And just knowing that they feel comfortable to like just send me an email and be like, hey, what's the deal? And I think that's pretty indicative of at least how the lines of communication are open.
Right. You touched on some great points. And I'm curious then, is that where you see, one of the aspects we're looking to talk about is how restaurant owners and employees can develop trust, because typically there's not 100% transparency in the conversations employers and employees have with each other. And right now, obviously, a lot of people are looking to other people to help guide them, to support them. you know, not everybody is able to necessarily take a vested interest in all their employees' personal lives and what's going on. That's not very common in the industry. And so for Sexy Pizza to really have a, you know, a deep investment into supporting them, but you also have a little bit of the luxury that because you're not as financially stressed out right now, that you can actually go into other aspects of your business and say, what else can we do? What else can we do?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So along the lines of building trust and what's been, you know, obviously you have a model that's pretty accelerated in terms of being progressive and sustainable and really looking forward. You've had that in place. Now we're in the middle of a pandemic. You're also able to address your immediate needs and look to adapting and rebuilding, redesigning what needs to be better moving forward. How does trust play a role in that for Sexy Pizza, and where do you think the trust starts and really has the best opportunity to develop?
I think honestly, one of the best things I ever heard, and it was maybe I'd worked here about a month, and I overheard my boss Kyle, one of the owners, on the phone with somebody, and it's like we should put it on a quote everywhere, but he basically said, just in the course of normal conversation, he's like, well, I mean, technically we're in the business of making pizza, but we're not in the business of making pizza to make money. We're in the business of making pizza to make good jobs for myself, for everyone else. Like, that's what we're here to do. Like, yes, pizza, of course, that's how we get to the end goal, but like, but the end goal being to have decent jobs for people is a huge shift. And I think that's where the trust starts. And then you continue to build on that trust by A, following through on that, and B, like that momentum, carrying that momentum into every single policy that you put in place. And then B, to not do it as business as usual. Not just take the status quo and be like, well, that's how it's done. To really look at each situation that an employee brings to us, or, you know, a donation partner may bring to us, or, you know, a community member may bring to us, and just be like, well, how else can we look at it to maybe not reach the same conclusion that everybody has so far? Because
Right.
We can all agree that, like, there are some good things about the way that the world works and some bad things about the way the world works, and to be able to analyze and adapt in real time to these different, like, very human needs. Like, you can, like, you're only going to continue to build trust by picking up each stone, each situation, and like turning it over and being like, how else can we look at this?
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate, Timmy, how you, first of all, I just want to like hear you talk, because I feel like you really get it.
I've been working with Kayvon for a while in many different capacities.
I love that guy. But from like the mental health world, you're really speaking to the person first idea, right? And allowing ourselves to challenge when we think we have enough money for benefits, to actually say, what if we flipped that and saw, by prioritizing higher, taking care of the person, it's a snowball to everything else. And
especially for the society that we live in, my goodness, you know, like,
right.
like everything costs money. But if, like, and so if you're only giving them a paycheck, then they have to take that one resource you're giving and like put it out into these million different pockets that aren't theirs, you know, like, but if we can maybe just bypass that for them and like get healthcare that costs them nothing, and get dental that costs them nothing, and like just get rid of the middleman, which is their pockets, and yeah, we end up spending a lot less in the long run.
Yep.
And so did they, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's the bumper sticker right there. We ended up spending a lot less.
Take a few words out of that, but yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's nice to be practical, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, gosh, it's a lot of data entry to onboard an employee. Like, just in the amount of time that they would save each week for me never having to like terminate or onboard anyone, that would be that would be a huge chunk of change, you know. Time is money.
So speaking of money, it's you know, kind of one of our assumptions, and I'm sorry, Heather, it might actually be a statistical fact. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest barriers to people in general approaching mental wellness or seeking health sessions would largely be financial, right? So for
Yes, that
you,
is correct, statistically.
it's statistically a fact. Um, so so I'm interested, Timmy, then in what you think for yourself, because my understanding is that Sexy Pizza doesn't offer mental wellness sessions at this time. Is that right?
You know, I would have to look into that with our service provider with
It might be
but I
included
know
in
I
your
know that
health insurance.
just as a company, that is not something that we offer as like a standalone thing.
Right, right. But so it's possible it might be offered in your health insurance or
Yeah, so that would be
another
only for
benefit.
the full-time employees, somebody who's averaging 36 hours or more, who's signed on then, who is then signed on for our health plan.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kaiser's got some stuff.
Okay.
I should
So are
probably
you
look into
aware
it
of?
for myself, honestly. It's been a rough 6 months, you know?
I
Yeah.
agree. Well, and it goes to show like one of the barriers can be even when um, benefits are available, it can sometimes be hard to know like what all does that include.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
is. It is such a, and then I definitely try to make myself available to help people figure it out. But most of the time it's me like poking around on the website too, just being like, wait, I thought I understood this. I thought that I knew what was going on, but now I'm not so sure. And let me look this up and let me dig into this for you. And, you know, like people that are working like 40 hours a week, people that, even if you're working less than that, like a lot of people have more than one job. A lot of people have life stuff, like everything takes so much time in life. And gosh, like trying to figure out healthcare is a huge time suck. So that's definitely a project for me, is writing up aids and just flow charts for people to sign themselves up. And I know that
Right.
a lot of the healthcare systems have those things in place, but it's like it's not always for a layperson, you know, like someone who's got 10 minutes real quick, who's just looking for a primary care doctor. You know, it's like, I got to go and get this checked out right now. I haven't had insurance in a decade, you know, like how do I do this? It gets complicated and it's a huge time suck.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I heard you say before that you're about ready to get some mental wellness sessions yourself. Is that
Why not?
what you said?
Heck
Do you think that
I appreciate that approach.
why not?
Why
Do,
not?
Couldn't hurt, honestly.
do you
That's a
think
great.
that there's a diminished stigma of mental wellness, therapeutic sessions, clinical sessions, in your workforce? Is there still a stigma that, you know, you're weak if you have
Mm,
to seek help? Do you think
that
people, if you offered it as a benefit, would people take you up on it?
that is a really interesting question. And because we do have um, a diverse workforce as far as like age range and things like that, like I bet you that would differ from person to person. I'm not sure if I could like outline a whole
Yeah.
big picture right now, but
Would you personally?
I mean, I think that I'll say this: given the age range that we do have, um, I would say that generation is much more likely to seek out mental wellness, uh, appointments than previous. And I
Okay.
think that things like social media and and things like that have gotten, in the last decade, a lot more people talking about these things. You know, and it may, I'm thinking about like Twitter right now. You know, it's the big joke on Twitter is that nobody wants to live and nobody likes their life and everybody's a bum, and you know, that's like the constant like go-to low-hanging fruit joke that everyone made on Twitter for a while. But then you also get these people that, you know, you crack open a conversation with a joke, and now people are actually talking about it in a much more public way than has happened in previous generations. So I think that you know, as we continue as a culture to kind of shift toward this, maybe the phrase would be emotional transparency. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but just we're a little bit more open with what's going on internally. So I think that we would be more open as a company workforce to to some wellness things. I know, like definitely it's like a time thing. Like where could I personally fit a wellness session into my week, you know? And the easier it is made for me, the more likely I am to you know, avail myself of that benefit.
Right. Yeah, really appreciate that. Well,
Make
we know where to send you when you're ready.
There you go.
What was that?
We know where to send you when you're ready.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time out of your extremely busy day to talk with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Heather, did you want to say any final comments?
I just appreciate how your perspective is from a restaurant, a company that can provide a unique perspective right now, I think. So just really appreciate all you shared.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Come by some sexy pizza. Come get some.
It's around the corner from my house.
Back there.
Yeah, get online, buy a t-shirt.
There you go. There's the pitch. All right, you have a good day.
Timmy, thank you.